Magic is found in every room, where people connect over a shared purpose. Luke, Hannah and Chris explore the role of purpose, courage, mindset and culture in every leader's quest for transformational performance.
Hello and welcome to Magic in the Room. My name is Chris Province and I'm excited about today's episode. It's a very special episode of Magic in the Room as we come to you live from Chenga Casino Resort here in Temecula, California, and I'm joined by our wonderful friends and colleagues on the NNAHRA board. And if you are not aware of what NNAHRA is, that is the National Native American Human Resource Association. And I tell you, the folks that are joining me today have done an amazing job building an amazing organization, an awesome community of HR leaders. And it is such a pleasure to be here this year. And it's just an amazing event. Amazing HR leaders talking about things that matter. So before we get going, let's just do some quick introductions and learn more about who's joining us here today.
Well, thank you for having us. My name is Arnold Williams. I'm the Human Resource Director for the Sistenwaplan Oyate, which is located on Lake Charles Reservation in South Dakota. Currently, I'm the Vice President of NNAHRA. So thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Yes.
I'll go next, if that's okay with Judy, with our president here. I'm Suzanne Clem. I'm the Human Resource Director at Wild Horse Resort and Casino, which is owned by the Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla Indian Reservation. I am currently the treasurer for NNAHRA and have been on the board since 2009.
And I am Judy Wright. I am the president of NNAHRA. I currently serve my tribe, the San Pasqual Band of Mission Indians, as the vice president of the San Pasqual Casino Development Group, which oversees Valley View Casino and Hotel.
Awesome. Thanks, Judy.
I'm Dorothy Sear. I am a member of the Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla Indian Reservation. I work for Wild Horse Resort and Casino, and I'm the employment manager. I currently serve as the secretary for the NNAHRA board and have been a member since 2006. Well, on the board since 2016.
Well, thank you all so much. Thank you for the gift of your time today and the gift of your gifts to this amazing organization. So, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the overarching theme of this year's conference. A topic that's near and dear to our heart here at Purpose and Performance Group, and that's this idea of leading with purpose. And I would just like to know, how did that really emerge as something to rally the conference around and really become a theme for this year's delivery?
It was collaboration between all of us on the board, what we wanted our theme to be. In our bylaws, we talk about accountability, respect, and contributing to our communities. And you can't do that without having purpose. So the theme came up and we all agreed that it was a statement that we all live by. So that's kind of how it came up.
That's awesome. And I love those themes of how do you really create structures of accountability and cultivate a community built around respect, and that serving as a path towards meaningful contributions. Arnold, I'm interested, as you think about this theme for this conference, like, what's your view on purpose? How does it show up in your day-to-day, and how do you try to activate that in your work community?
Every employee in our organization has something to contribute, and I want them to believe in themselves, in that they have that opportunity to contribute, whatever it may be, and that's what I take from it. Everybody here it's so awesome, and I want and all of us are sitting here remembering our friend Tal Moore, and a little bit about Tal is that when he met someone, he made you feel important, no matter what your position was in your tribe. You meant something to him. And that's kind of what I always think about being here the last few days, is him and how he would be and how he would respect everybody. And that's what I think that we're thinking about when we have this conference is how to be and how to treat each other. We may always not agree on things, but we definitely need to respect each other and help one another. So
yeah, that ability to find the best in everyone and embrace that we all have gifts to bring.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think so much of this conference is how do we become animated Like, how do we use our gifts to then become animated by our purpose? Yeah, in that vein, our lead keynote for the conference was Brene Brown, and she has a new book called Strong Ground, and we know her work previously around just courageous, daring leadership, how to rumble through tough times, because like life is hard and people aren't okay. But I'm interested, after kind of seeing her speak and going through the process of engaging her as a keynote, hearing her deliver live. What are some of your takeaways, or maybe some ideas or themes that landed with you that you look to apply more into your day to day?
One of the things that well, let me start off with, both Suzanne and I got a copy of her book prior to it being released, so we got to be able to read it to get some takeaways. And the one thing that really stuck with me was her chapter on negative capability. And how I took that was to be able to have a difference of opinion with someone and not have to try to prove the other person right or wrong, or prove yourself right and them wrong. To have an open mind that there may be an optional or alternate view on this, and keep that open. So I really took a lot from that chapter, because I think that's something that this world right now needs,
Sure.
is to have that open mind.
You bet.
On that note, and today, it's in her book, but today when she was speaking, she talked about making people feel believed, which I felt really ties in with what you were saying. But that's really, a thread throughout her book. And to me, that is such of every good leader that you've ever experienced, or you think about, they probably had that skill, that authentic skill to, whether they agreed with you or not, they believed where you were coming from, or they believed how you felt, and what you were thinking. And I thought that I appreciated that throughout her book. She also, throughout all of her work, Renee talks about vulnerability in leadership, which you don't hear that word used very often. So one of the extra titles, and I don't remember it word for word on the title of her book, is The Paradoxes of Leadership. And she does this amazing thing that she does is combines concepts that you wouldn't usually combine: vulnerability and strength. And she combines, she has a whole throughout her, it's not her quote, she actually got it from a professor, I believe, but it was where she's talking about the plumbing and the poetry of leadership. Can't just be how things are done or the structure of how it's done. You also have to inspire. But you can't be a leader who's only, speaking in poetry and inspiring people every day. You've got to also focus on how things are going to work. So I thought she did a good job of bringing that up today too, in person, as we were speaking with her. And yeah, the book is amazing, but she was really amazing today too. I enjoyed her very much.
I agree. What a gift to everyone that's been here. Dorothy, your thoughts?
Well, thought she gave a great example. It made me think about when she gave a story about it being in a meeting and someone just slamming their hands down, and it wasn't appropriate, but she had that conversation afterwards with them. And she said, I respect, your feelings, so I hear you, I understand. And it just makes you kind of step back and think, yeah, we could take away from that. We could use that in our day-to-day lives, kind of, not so much emotion, so, and handle it gracefully. And I took away from that. So,
yeah, this idea of, I don't know, the vulnerability based leadership, and this idea that we all have to have someone. We can't go at it alone. I think there's maybe an admission that some leaders tend to avoid, right? And that there's this belief that maybe I can go at it alone, and I'm strong enough to direct an organization. And something we haven't talked about before is like the language of that, and how misaligned, like this idea of like, I'm a director, so I direct. And it's very unilateral, and it feels very go at it alone, call the shots, run, their job is to run the plays. My My job is to call them. And I want to ask specifically this hard question, because it's, as a participant here at the conference, as folks are leaving the conversations about this topic, it is very much about, yes, I love this vision. It's something I want to activate. What's next? And so how do we get this idea of, we're in this together. I'm in it for you, and this body is also in it for me, as it relates to tribal councils, boards, the governance of our enterprise, and the governance of our administrations, our tribal administrations. How do we start that conversation? How do we get this idea that it's not always the tribe giving to everyone or servicing everyone, but the people also serve the tribe, and the other way around, that the people that work for the tribe need support as well. That it works both ways. That if I'm a leader here, I need help from my governance, and if your governance here, my job is to support you. And this idea that we are vulnerable because our success is interdependent. How do we open that conversation in environments where sometimes that's not a very comfortable conversation to have? And you guys do it with your organizations every day and have made progress down this path. And I think there's a lot of leaders that struggle with, how do I start that? Yeah, go ahead.
Do you want to?
Yeah, I could say.
Yeah. Mhm.
So something that Renee said when she was here, she told a story about a cancer hospital and going and getting the elevator. And she talked about, I want to say it must be a dietitian or someone had a cart full of Jello cups that say, I'm not sure what it was, what the food was on the cart. And she asked her what she did there, and the lady said, I cured cancer. And I thought that was so powerful, that lady who worked in the kitchen probably, um, knew what the goal and objective was for where she worked,
Mhm.
what the employment, where she was employed. I thought that was so awesome. I think your question there, I think that's one of the things that we need to communicate to everybody, because we all have a role there, whether we're on tribal council, whether we're the director of whatever program, or whether we're the janitor there. We all have a role there, and that's to provide the best services we can to our communities. And I think that everybody needs to know that. So I think the communication of what our goal and objective is, that's what we need to where we need to start. It's not pointing fingers at anybody. Let's all get on the same page, because we're all on the same team. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Okay. Judy?
Similar to what Arnold said about being on the same page, sometimes you have to put your ego aside, I'm going to say, and what is it that your tribe needs, and how do we get there? And it's going to be perspectives from different committees, councils, etc. Um, and it's really important that your employees know why they are there. And one of the things that we do on our onboarding process is we go and speak to our new hires and give them a little history of what our tribe is about, why we're there, and then we share why we went into gaming. And it wasn't just to start a casino and earn money. It was really to fund our government. And then we teach them, you're here, it's not just a job. You are contributing to our community. You're contributing to our fire department, our planning, department, everything there. And when you leave that orientation or onboarding session, you can see them sit up a little bit tall, like, hey, I got it. We are contributing, and we welcome them to our family, our Valley View family or San Pasqual family at that time. And, we just share a little bit more, and they feel really good about, they know why they're here. They know how their role contributes, just like St. Jude, they all knew their role cured cancer.
You bet. That's, and I think that's something that's super powerful, because time and again, we see high performance organizations have two things: high purpose clarity, high role clarity.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, to tie that back to the language that Dorothy was mentioning, it's the poetry and the plumbing,
Mm-hmm.
right? The purpose clarity is the words, the role clarity is the structure that's to be provided by the people doing the work. And we have to have both, right? You have to be inspired and then really rally around this idea of why we're here.
I think one of the themes too that came out this morning that kind of resonated with me too, and she does speak about it in her book also, but it was courage. And you hear her use that a lot, and the being having the courage to be vulnerable to lead, or as you said earlier, how do our members or our participants of the conference go back? How do we have those conversations? How do we have them with the right people? And I think really the answer comes down to is if you could focus on that courage and that you're putting that to the forefront, making it a value that you have within whatever organization or enterprise is serving the tribe. I think I really responded to that this morning, that I loved that for a value, because so much of what we do really does take courage, and some of it's having conversations, with the people that we need to have the right conversations with.
Mhm. And for high performing leaders, maybe there's a little something in here it's about creating a climate where being courageous is okay. Like, are we creating climates where people are confident that they can show up with courage or as the person they know themselves to be and make significant contribution or a more significant contribution than what we ask them to as the threshold?
Right.
I think
Um,
one of the things that we're trying to do with the conference, with NAHRA, is that we're trying to create almost a support group of professionals, whether they're in human resources or whether they're a tribal leader or whoever might come here. I hope, that we're creating, they're being educated, they're learning something, they're meeting people that they might be able to reach out to, but it feels like a support group. And in my mind, we're sending them back to their tribes, hopefully with a little more courage, because they're more prepared, they're more aware, they've learned something, they've observed somebody. I think overall, no matter what our theme is, it was leading with purpose this year, but I think that's always our hope, that the members are able to go back and have a hard conversation. But a lot of it's because maybe they just spent a week just feeling the support and feeling they have people to reach out to. And at least that's what I'm hoping that they take, or they've just heard from someone like Brene Brown,
mhm.
that inspired them and was able to kind of remind them, oh yeah, and so that they do go back with more courage and more vulnerability and just anything that they might need, more tools, I guess, to get it.
Yeah.
The one thing that I'd like to add to that is we at NAHRA are expanding our exposure to Tribal Leadership Council and others. Because many times we just send them back and they're like, "Well, they're not listening to us because we're HR, whatever."
Yeah.
So how did we get in front of them? So we expanded our exposure. So we're teaming up with Tribal Leadership Council conferences,
commission.
gaming commissions, and speaking at these. And it's more helpful. We're becoming known by the tribal leadership for our thoughts and perspectives. So that helps out a lot.
Well, and you speak to courage and to this group, and it's just this idea of seeing a need and filling that need and really giving HR leaders in tribes and tribally led enterprise a collective voice
Right.
and a space to gather and that support. Because it's hard to show up as the person I know myself to be. But when I am part of a community of like-minded people and I learn what I need to learn and can frame what I need to frame to get movement inside the organization or communities that I reside in, that's helpful. That's like true help. And that's why I'm so thankful, for Dorothy and Arnold, as we break this space. What are some things that, there's 1,000 people leaving here this week. What do you hope they go back and do?
Well, I've spoken to some newbies here already, and they just love it, and we've had those conversations where they come in and they're like, "Wow, I thought I was alone." I heard that twice today. I thought I was alone, and so they're great. These are my people, and so they just feel supported, because they know there's other HR tribal members that are dealing with the same issues. And although we're all unique, we all tend to deal with the same issues. So, yeah, it was good to hear that. And they were so happy to be here and just amazed at, the sessions. And they were gaining so much
Mhm.
from just being here. So I was happy to hear that.
Yes, we had a lot of new people this year. Probably half the crowd were the first time NAHRA conference attendees, and that's amazing.
Mhm.
Over the years, we've had people in NAHRA or in HR for a number of years, 20, 30, even 40 years sometimes. And there was a few times that we had someone come their first day in HR to a conference or one of our certification programs, and everybody in between. With 1,000 members we had come today, that's over 1,000 years experience in HR. And one of the things we want to do is support one another and help each other understand whether we've been there from day one to day, to year 30 or 40. So it was good to do the speed network we did today, and we had an opportunity to talk and answer some questions that we had. So that's one of the things I hope that they take away from here is that we are here for you. We are here to help you.
Mhm.
We have seen a lot of things in the years that we've been in HR, and give us a call, give us an email, whatever situation you're in. Let's talk about it. We'll help each other. We'll work through this together.
Mhm.
Because we all have human moments at work. We have some difficult conversations we have to have, and we want to be there to support each other. And I think that's what makes NAHARA so successful is that we truly care about what we're doing. We truly care about our attendees that come, our sponsors, everybody involved with us. We truly care about them, and we want to work together, and we want to help them.
No. And that is exactly how, we've experienced being a part of this community from day one. In there's always space for people that care deeply.
Mhm.
In this organization, I think is a great example of, and organizations have character, and we see that as through different board members, and as leadership is continued to grow. But the thing that holds true is the organization cares deeply. Um, and its ability, an organization's ability to attract people that believe like that organization believes. If you care about people, this is a place for you. If you don't, it's probably not.
I think the one thing that sets us apart from other tribal HR events is that we all work in HR. We all work for tribes, and we have our hands in it all the time, and that's the difference. And so they see that, and they know we have firsthand experience, so we can share whatever it is that they may need, or we see, or
Yeah.
what our
If
experience
if
is.
you haven't had an experience with it, somebody who's been in something like
Absolutely. We have, I mean, just people here, we have over 1,000, contacts or, reference points to call them,
yeah.
And one thing about our board too is we're a voluntary board.
Mhm.
We all work full time in HR for tribes or tribal nations. And also we're a nonprofit of 501c3. So we're here actually for the people, we're here to do what we can to help.
Yeah. And it's amazing. And I appreciate you all for giving the space for so many people to be seen and believed and syndicate, our experiences and our learning. Um, and, I would be remiss if I didn't speak to, you mentioned Tao, like he was the guy that saw you,
Mhm.
right? And as an organization, we're honoring him this year with the inaugural golf tournament. I know was this week. Um, so I would love to know more about what's happening with that event. We had great turnout. It was an incredible day. Raise money for the foundation. Kind of speak to what's next for the golf tournament, for the NAHRA golf tournament and the Town Memorial.
Yes, we had a successful event on Sunday, and we had 144. We sold out with that event. Everybody loved Tal, and everybody knew what his passion was and his, the inspiration that he provided to everybody. So we want to move his work forward. We actually had a family member here, who experienced it, and we were so glad to have her here. So what we're going to be doing, because we had this initial event, in conjunction with the conference, we're going to set it as a separate event so we can concentrate fully on that. And that's going to be directed by Azadeh Tavakoli, who is the new director of development for the foundation.
Awesome.
And we are going to push that forward. And, I have all the faith in confidence in the world that we're going to make that happen, and it's going to be a successful event each year.
Oh, you bet. After such an awesome event this year, and I know everybody's thinking, well, when and where's the next one? And we want all of our listeners to get ready, save the date, mark it down. So are we ready to announce dates and location for next year?
I think yes, we are. So after 30 years, we have been there before, and it was Tal that talked about we can do this there, because the location, when you hear about the locations, like, oh, who's going to come? It's so far away, and everybody would want to go there because of the location. And he believed that we could do it there, and it was one of our biggest conferences too at that time.
Mm-hmm.
That we are going to go back to the Hilton Hawaiian Village in Hawaii.
Nice. What an awesome trip. What an awesome venue. Like, that venue is set up in a wonderful way to it's very hospitable to the attendees, the vendors, all the suppliers, all the partners, and there's so many great things and activities to do, and continue to learn and build our community. So thank you for that.
Yeah, they have been awesome, taking care of us. And in last time we were there, and we had a site visit, and yeah, it's amazing. I mean, Hawaii.
Yeah, come on.
How can you go wrong with
Yeah.
Hawaii? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tend to learn more in that environment.
Yeah,
Right.
me
Yeah,
too.
yeah. Okay, so dates for that.
September 28th, 29th, and 30th.
Okay, 2026.
2026.
So we will plan on seeing everyone there. And let's just kind of wrap this up with how, like, all the certifications throughout the year. We have, NAHRA is really leading the way in certifications for tribal leaders, regardless of enterprise, government, different levels of the organization, like really giving learning pathways to establish, just knowledge and experience in our chosen career fields. If you wouldn't mind, could someone speak to just those programs? I know we have THERP and TMP and TAP, and there might be some more fun stuff coming out as we get through this year, but if somebody can just kind of run through those certifications for us and let us know where people can find information on those and get signed up.
So yes, we have our THERP 1, and we have our THERP 2, which is a more advanced level, and we have that in partnership with the Drummond Woodsum Group. We also have our TAP, which is the Tribal Adjudication with Michelle Justice, in partnership with Michelle Justice. And we have our TMP, which is the Tribal Management professional program. We are working on one with Rick McGee. It hasn't been released yet, but we are going to be announcing another certification. A little too early to make that public announcement yet.
Awesome, but we will have more pathways coming
Absolutely.
in 2026.
And you can find any of this information on our website.
And I'd strongly encourage anyone that hasn't gone through the THERP program, definitely engage there. That's the Tribal Human Resource Professional, and that certification. There's 2 levels of that. And then you have the adjudication program and the Tribal Management Professional program. All wonderful certifications, awesome content. Would encourage everyone to go to the NAHRA website and check that out. And for you all, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for a wonderful event. Thank you for the gift of your time today. Look forward to wrapping things up here at the conference and going back and, playing and learning and applying all the things that we've done here this week. So thank you all very much. And
Thank you.
until next time.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Magic in the Room is a production of Purpose and Performance Group. This episode was recorded live at Changa Casino Resort in Temecula, California. Our music is provided by Evan Grimm. You can check out all of his music on Apple, and we'll see you next time on Magic in the Room.